beauty. And, you know, as she asked the questions like, okay, you know, it's your last days and what are you seeing? And I saw myself in a bed and like my son standing around the bed and my grandchildren around the bed. And I remember Jen saying, is Kenny there? And I thought, oh no, he died before I did. And she said, okay, everything was so gentle and beautiful. And I saw myself or my spirit, or it was just energy or light. I saw it rise above the bed and I just kind of hovered there. And it was almost as if I wasn't ready to completely leave that time and space, because I knew that it would hurt my son and my grandchildren if I were to transition. And then this was the most overwhelming part. And then this light, I was light, and then this light came down and like enveloped me and scooped me. And I knew right away, oh, that's Kenny. And it lifted me, right? And it was the most beautiful experience. It made transitioning like so, oh my gosh, like this warm light just, oh, it's beautiful.
My skin's all tingling.
Oh gosh, look, stop myself before I reach for the tissue. But it's, you know, I wanted to share that because society does put so much sorrow and grief around death experiences, but it really is a beautiful time. And I think there's a lot of just not knowing that makes it scary for people. But when you can, and thank you so much, Jim, for allowing me to experience that.
My
when you can see, yes, when you can see that your spirit can just easily just lift in this warm, loving embrace and just transition, it's powerful.
It is.
But back to your question.
Thanks, Lori.
No problem. Do you remember that question, Jen, that Kenny was asking you before?
Whatever.
It was. I'm sure it was very important. I was trying to remember it, but my pen and paper is just out of my reach. You see, I normally have it right on me. I left it over on my healing bed.
Well, I know. I was thinking. I wondered what your
my experience. Yeah. So my experience now, was it of you when you saw Lori for the first time, or what I noticed, or?
Yeah. What? So when I'm there, or anybody for that matter, when you're going through this experience, I know I'm describing things to you, but you're not necessarily filling in the blanks for me, but you're giving me enough. Like, did you look around? It's almost like the things that I am saying, particularly once we got off, you recognize things that I saw that I didn't even bring up, and I was like, "Whoa, you saw that too?" Where are you? I mean, are you like there? Yeah.
Feeling a bit like a voyeur here. No, but I do see most of what, well, a lot of what, you know, whoever I'm working with will see as well. And so I think that allows me to you know, perhaps if there's something that they haven't noticed, I'll say, hey, look, have you noticed this over here? Or have you noticed anything in the background there that draws your attention? I don't want to lead people too much unless I don't want to lead people too much unless I have to, and they've missed something important, because I'd rather you sort of discover it yourself. But if I need to, I will. But I mean, I remember with your one, Kenny, I remember saying, it was obviously very primitive, but I remember seeing I think it's a brachiosaurus or a brontosaurus, the one with a very long neck, you know, right in the background in the hills. I thought, if I'm not saying anything, because I think I've been talking to my son about dinosaurs in the weekend, and I thought, it's just my, you know, thoughts coming. But I found out afterwards you had seen it as well.
I saw the same thing, and I didn't want to say anything because I was thinking, like, that couldn't be. I mean, man, am I mixing up with a giraffe or something? Whatever it is, I'm not about to embarrass myself by saying, because the experience is something where you're talking. It's like just having a conversation about a memory, right? And technically, I guess it is an embedded memory, but it's like having a conversation about a memory and just recalling all those things. So I didn't want to say, well, I saw a big thing that looked like a cross between a giraffe and a dinosaur, because I didn't want to come off like, okay, well, he's making something up, or he's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it was just so shocking to hear that you saw the exact same thing. I was like, whoa, no, you couldn't have, because I saw that and I thought I was hallucinating. Well, I guess.
No, I have to say, I mean, I do see a lot of what, so I don't know how much I see of what you see, because I'm not actually in your head, but I do see whatever you see, or whatever you mention, I have seen, or else I see other things in the background. But yeah, I was going to say, but the really good thing is that I think when we're in that state, it feels to me like we are actually almost one. We're in that same time and space together. Like, you know, I mean, I don't normally reach for the tissues, but I feel it. I can absolutely feel it. I'm not just asking questions off a script. And I guess that would be the difference from doing a regression like this versus doing something with an audio, because in audio, I do a lot of audios actually for other guided healings, and they're certainly very effective, but you can't sort of tailor them the same way that we could. I mean, with your past lives, we went between lives, you know, so we're actually able to go after you'd passed and transitioned up to the next level, and what happens then and stuff like that, so you can actually totally tailor it to your, you know, your needs.
Will you guys tell, because I wasn't there for the reading for the that you did for Lori. The regression that you did for Lori. But Lori was telling me the story about little Kenny, or whoever the guy was, and I like the story because it just sounds all nice and fun.
You wanted to hear that story?
Yeah.
Well, you know, which leads me to this this thought of how is it that we actually know. I know you said when Jen took you through the regression, like maybe the other people looked blurred, but you recognized me.
Well, it was such an energy. It was just like, it was so magnetic. And you, the Lori, which wasn't her name in that life, it was a real name. It was a real name that I can't even now recall.
Oh, that's right. Well, I think I wrote it down somewhere.
But the Lori was in a hut or in some sort of building, and she was just in there and just away from everybody. And I was just drawn to that. I was just drawn to going into that place and seeing her in there. And then, of course, Jen, you said, you know, just, you have all the time, spend some time with just take your time and just be there, be in that moment. Yeah. And so I wouldn't, I just was taken in the moment. I think either you encouraged me to kind of, to say what I was thinking, or.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was just such a precious moment. And, you know, we all know that energy is not confined to time or space. And so I just thought it would be nice to be able to actually soak up that energy together for a wee bit before leaving that space and then moving on to wherever we went after that. And it's that, again, it was kind of like that oneness, really, wasn't it? You know, that absolute connection on every level.
I recognize that we had shared a bunch of memories, that I was, the two of us were our closest friends in that group, in that village or tribe or whatever. And it was me, you know, I was leaving her behind, and I think she's much younger, like a sister that I kind of trained up, but that friendship that I was leaving behind was so, maybe even like a mother figure, but it was so, it hurt her, and so she couldn't bear to be there in that moment for the wake or funeral or whatever it was. But it was tough for me to see, but it was so even though it was tough, it was so loving, it was so warm, and it was almost like seeing a long lost loved one that you hadn't seen in years.
Yeah.
And that feeling of, oh my goodness, there she is. That you just want to embrace them, and you want to say all this stuff, but you just want to be in the moment more so than anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're describing those feelings and emotions. I think it was kind of answering my question, or answering my thought as you were saying it, that when we're able to recognize people in these past life regressions, it seems like, and help me out, Jen, but it almost seems like we're recognizing the feeling, or we're recognizing the emotion or the energy of that person. So, I mean, well, surely we can look differently because Kenny was a woman in another lifetime. So you can't rely on, oh, well, I'm looking for this bald guy who's
the good looking.
With a terrible feet.
Yeah, my guy with real bad feet, but he has real nice feet. I'm glad this lifetime. But I do think maybe recognizing a person in a past life is really recognizing that energy or that feeling.
And I think that the thing is as well, in my experience, again, other practitioners may well have noticed something different, but because we set the intention to be seeking each other out, there was no actually having to intellectually try and do it, or work out, okay, so what characteristics am I looking for? It just happened, and it's just like very obvious who was. I mean, with Laurie, the little boy that came and sat with you, because he didn't want to swim. It was just gorgeous. It was so obvious that was Kenny. That beautiful friendship, it's been there many, many times before. It was just gorgeous.
It was, I know. And I don't know, I guess prior to that regression, I guess I was assuming that I would see this adult as Kenny. So it was kind of interesting, like, to go back and see that, my goodness, we had this lifetime, even going back to childhood. And I'm like, oh, that's little Kenny. That's small Kenny. That's Kenny.
But what was amazing, so many of the similar qualities, though, right? Kenny still has many of those qualities that he had in that lifetime. But then our souls do have actual soul roles and soul personalities that is the personality of our individual soul from lifetime to lifetime. We have our humanness on top, but that was definitely a real constant. I thought, not that I know you especially well, Kenny, but from what I do know.
Take us from there, Jen. Take us to the purpose of these soul families, because after we, after we left after I left my visit with Lori, and we gave me some more time to kind of spend time there with her, and just not a lot of words at that point in time, and just being. And boy, was it emotional in the silence. So we go to the council. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that the next?
That's really cool. I love that part. It's so illuminating. So, basically, after transitioning, we'll just go. After the transitioning, we'll take you straight up to go before. I guess it's a council of elders of sorts. And that is where your lifetime that you've just had is reviewed, and it's reviewed in as you've both experienced, like a very objective way. I mean, and you're actually able to look at the lifetime that you'd had, the purpose that you had, how did it go, what went well, what didn't go so well, and actually it's almost like having a performance appraisal, but it's that obviously at a much larger scale at the end of your lifetime. But I just think, from my perspective, when I take people through that, I guess it puts our lifetimes into perspective as well, and that there is a purpose, and You know, it is a continuous cycle. It's just, I think it's really fascinating. I have done them with people before where the elders have actually said that the lifetime did not go at all the way that they expected it to. They felt it was far more violent than they ever, in my skin's all tingling, that it was ever expected for this girl to endure. And interestingly, she's now completing what she should have completed in that particular lifetime. But that has been really helpful for her actually now to understand what is going on and what she needs to do. Sorry, just a slight digression. But yes, so after the passing, yes, we take you up before the Council of Elders, and you can ask whatever questions that you like at that particular point. I don't know how you guys found that.